Hello, how are you? I'm welcomed again to CSP 101. Again, my name is Dr. Dwight Fontenot, and I'm here today to talk to you about a little bit about the history of the Comprehensive Studies program and the University of Michigan. This is by far my favorite lecture to share with students and the favorite information I get to share with you. And so we will start today with this. I'm going to share my screen with you so you will see the presentation that I prepared and not just me. Please note that we will put all of these slides in the Canvas site so you will have it. Again, it's exciting for me to have this chance to share with you this particular information. My goals for you today are simple, and there are three. I want to convince you today that your decision to attend the University of Michigan is amongst the best decisions you have made in your life, even if you don't know it. I think that the University of Michigan is a special place, and your admission here is a special thing that you should hold dear and that you should treasure, and that you should make every effort to get the best out of this particular experience. My second goal today is just to help you understand the development of CSP and its historical impact on the University of Michigan. And finally, I want you to be aware that you have a role in this particular process. I want you to know your role in the mission and excellence in education, the University of Michigan, and the Comprehensive Studies program. So the University of Michigan holds a special place in higher education in the United States of America. We call ourselves leaders in the best, and we're at the forefront of a lot of different things. But one of the key principles I want you to take away from this time we spend together today is that it is different. When people talk about the Michigan difference, there is a difference about the University of Michigan, how it came to be, and what it stands for. That's different from so many other institutions of higher education in the United States. It was founded on the ideas of excellence for all people and not just the elite classes. That's one of the differences from the University of Michigan than most of the Ivy League schools. The Ivy League schools were founded in the late 1600s, early 1700s, and it was just for what they used to call the landed gentry, those people who owned land or had money. And so they trained and educated their sons and daughters and perpetuated an elite class of individuals. The University of Michigan, from its founding, was founded to provide the best education possible for all people, not just the elite classes. It is one of the first nationally publicly funded schools in the nation. That's something I want you to get in your head. There are a lot of schools that started Harvard, Yale, all started as they're all private institutions. The University of Michigan is among the first nationally publicly funded institutions of higher education in the United States of America. The University of Georgia was started in 1785. There were a couple of faculty members from Yale who moved to Georgia to get land, and they decided to start a school. And so it was the state of Georgia chartered this particular school. In 1789, the same sort of thing happened, but there were Harvard educated people who moved to North Carolina to get land, and they decided to build a school based on their experiences at Harvard. And so the state charter in North Carolina chartered the University of North Carolina in 1789. In 1817, there was a national charter, not a state charter, a national charter that established what we now call the University of Michigan. And so let me take you through a little of that history. The Northwest Ordinance, 1787. After the Second Continental Congress of 1786, the Northwest Ordinance was established, and it was done by the Second Continental Congress of the United States. It secured land around the Great Lakes for future development. What the Northwest Ordinance said is that the United States of America takes possession of these particular lands. And it was lands that are currently the states of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. It was the Northwest Territories, and it was the Northwest Ordinance that said this now belongs to the University of Michigan. Excuse me. So we secured that particular land. The other thing it did is establish the Ohio River as the boundary for slave trade. So everything north of the Ohio River, Cincinnati North, would be free. Everything south of the Ohio River, Louisville, Kentucky, and further back would be slave. The special thing about this, it provided money for public schooling in the territory. It provided money for public schooling in the territory. And so when we sing our fight song that we are champions of the West, when the University of Michigan was started, we were the West. This was the West. And so that song goes back to our history, that when we were started, we were what was then the western part of the United States of America in 1787, I'm sorry, when we were established. And so I think it's important to understand that we trace our history back to the Northwest Ordinance in a really particular way. I have a question for you. The phrase from the Northwest Ordinance in 1787 is inscribed on which building? Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. Is it on the Rackham Building, the Michigan Union, the Angel Hall, or Clements Library? It is Angel Hall. The front of Angel Hall has those things, the words from the Northwest Ordinance, that it encourages education, that it provides for education on the front of Angel Hall, which is, again, one of the oldest buildings on campus, but also it goes back to our desire, the desire of the University of Michigan to train and educate people in this new territory. In 1817, the governor of the Michigan Territory, Lewis Cass, for whom Cass Tech is named, wrote a bill to establish what he wanted to call the University of Michigania. I think it's really important to notice that when Governor Lewis Cass wrote this particular bill to establish it, he wasn't alone. Father Gabriel Richard, who led the Catholic Church in the area of Michigan, was there a part of that. Again, I think Augustus Woodward was also there, and some other people who are well known in the city of Detroit. They signed the bill that establishes the University of Michigania. It was called a Cathoistemiad. It's a long Latin word. Cathoistemiad, made up of two Latin words. Catho, which means universal. So the Catholic Church is the universal church. Catho in Latin means universal. Istemiad means knowledge. This was to be, the University of Michigania was to be a public school that provided a universal system of knowledge. It was to be a public school that not just taught people how to be ministers or lawyers, but it was supposed to educate every discipline, and to have what I think Lewis Cass called at that time a universal knowledge. And so they wanted to teach and learn about everything. Harvard University was established by a church to train ministers and lawyers. Yale University was established by the Methodist Church to train ministers and lawyers. Princeton was designed by the Congregational Church to train ministers. And so most of the Ivy League schools were initially designed to train the clergy and to train lawyers. And the University of Michigania was supposed to be a place that did that, but everything else. They were interested in architecture, in agriculture, in education, in the medical sciences. And so they were establishing a different kind of university that had been established before. Even the University of Georgia, when it was established first as a seminary and then opened up as a school for education. The third thing here is important, that this was to be a national university, not a state university. Michigan was a territory at the time. And so this money came from the United States of America to establish a national institution and not just a regional institution or a state institution. In 1837, the state of Michigan joins the Union. Which one came first? That's right. The University of Michigan was chartered in 1817. The state of Michigan was chartered in 1837. So that means that the University of Michigan came before the state of Michigan. And in the Constitution of the state of Michigan, the University of Michigan is written in as a coordinate branch of state government. In our state constitution, there is the mandate that the University of Michigan is different. It was here before the state got here. And so the University of Michigan has constitutional autonomy under the authority of the regents who either, excuse me, I'm sorry, who are appointed by the governor or elected by the population. It has constitutional authority, different from every other state school in the state of Michigan. So there have been times when the state legislature tried to dictate how many out-of-state students came to the University of Michigan versus in-state students. And our Board of Regents and our attorneys would go back to the state legislature and show them the Constitution and say, the University of Michigan has constitutional autonomy. We will take your guidelines under consideration, but we make that final decision. The university makes that final decision. There have been times when the state legislature would hold up our public funding for something that they wanted the University of Michigan to do. And again, our lawyers would trot up to Lansing and tell the state legislature, thank you for your comments. We will take them under consideration. But as a constitutional, but as a coordinate branch of government and under our constitutional autonomy, we can decide whether or not we want to follow these rules. And it's caused a lot of contention, but because we were first, we still have that autonomy. So I ask you the second question. In what year did the University of Michigan move to Ann Arbor? It was founded in Detroit, again by Lewis Cass, Augustus Woodward, and Father Gabriel Richard. What year did the University of Michigan move to Ann Arbor? Think about it. 1837, the same year that Michigan became a state, the University of Michigan moved to Ann Arbor. We moved to Ann Arbor in 1837, and the land that we have now on was a gift. The three Native American tribes, the Ojibwa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi tribes, in exchange for educating their children, gave us the land that most of the University of Michigan sits on. It was a gift from them, and again, exchanging to educate their children. And so we still have at the University of Michigan the Native American Scholarship, such that anyone who can demonstrate ancestry to these three tribes, I think it's 25% now, that we will give them full tuition scholarship because they gave us this land and that's the promise we made to them. I want to skip ahead in our history because in 1871, James Angell, for whom Angell Hall is named, became the third president for the University of Michigan and served for 38 years. It was an amazing time in the University of Michigan's life. He did a lot of things to change what currently happens here. But one of the things that he did, the phrase that he coined for the University of Michigan was an uncommon education for the common man. An uncommon education for the common man. He wanted the University of Michigan to get excellent education to anyone, not just the elites, but to anyone. And so when you think about the recruitment efforts of the university today, they are still embedded in that thought that we want to give the best education possible to any and all deserving students. The other thing President Angell did was continue to establish the University of Michigan as a national school and establish a national recruitment process. And so we were one of the first institutions that was traveling around the world, around the country to admit students. Most people would go to the school to find that sort of admissions process, but we were sending people out from the University of Michigan here in Ann Arbor across the United States to recruit students who would be great for the University of Michigan. At a time when many of the Ivy Leagues were blackballing Jews, the University of Michigan established an admissions office in New York City directly to make certain that those people who were ostracized from one sort of educational institution could find support and admission to the University of Michigan. Since the Civil War, we have been giving special preference for veterans, not the Vietnam War, not the Iran-Contra conflict, not the war in Afghanistan, not World War I. But since the Civil War, the University of Michigan has been making special preferences and reaching out to veterans to bring them in as alumni to the University of Michigan. We've had more than 10,000 veterans enrolled since World War II. And our veterans program is one that many of our students take advantage of. Some of you are probably a part of that program now. And so we're very proud of this. But this was started by President Angel back in 1871. And so Michigan is amongst the first of many things. And so we've done a lot of things before many other people did. But there are a couple of things I want to show you here. Our first graduating class was in 1845. Before 1845, you had a mentorship relationship. So education, you would connect yourself to a faculty member and work with them for several years until that faculty member thought you were good enough and they sent you along your way. Our first African-American student was admitted to the University of Michigan in 1853. First fraternity house in 1845. The first student newspaper is 1857. And that is the first student newspaper of any school or college in the nation that is student run. Our student newspaper does not receive editorial oversight from the University of Michigan. That's why you can read all sorts of things in the daily, because they don't report to the president or to the regents. They have complete autonomy. And it was the first such newspaper established here at the University of Michigan. The first university hospital was built here in the University of Michigan at 1859. All before they used other public hospitals, we built the first teaching hospital here at the University of Michigan. And that's the first teaching hospital in the country. Our first female student came in 1872, and we named a building after her. Stockwell Hall, excuse me, is named after Madeline Stockwell. The other thing you want to know is that, President Angel did international recruitment. So we began recruiting students from China, from Puerto Rico, which is not yet a state, and from other places in the world, so that they would come and learn at the University of Michigan. First African-American football player in 1934. Just some first I want you to see. I want to skip ahead again in our history to bring us to think about this desire, excuse me, of an uncommon education for the common man. There was a desire to expand the student base. And so the University of Michigan under President Angel wanted to expand what we were doing. And so we actively sought women so they could be admitted to the University of Michigan. We actually sought international students and underrepresented students. Those were things that we did. I think if you're on campus, you want to go to the Michigan League when it's open, because the Michigan League was a building that was built by women. They donated the first $1 million to build the Michigan League. The Michigan Union was a place just for men. It did not allow women in the building. So the women, the alumni, and the women, the wives of faculty members got together and created the Michigan League, and they donated the first $1 million to build that particular building. In 1951, Harlan Hatcher becomes the president of the University of Michigan, and he served for about 16 years. Under President Hatcher, for which the Hatcher Library is named, the student population grew from about 17,000 students to 37,000 students. He also establishes the Flint and the Dearborn campuses to meet the needs of the populations in those particular areas. One of the other things I want you to know about President Hatcher is that he was extremely moved by the civil rights things that were happening in the country during this time. Many of you know that the idea for the Peace Corps was started on the front steps of the Michigan Union when then President Kennedy came to speak here at the University of Michigan. And that was something that impressed President Hatcher very well, very greatly. And he was moved by those things, the things that President Kennedy was trying to do and President Johnson was trying to do in the early 1960s. And so what President Hatcher did was became proactive in finding ways to increase the diversity of the University of Michigan. And what he decided and established in 1963, I think it was the Michigan Tuskegee Exchange Program. The Michigan Tuskegee Exchange Program. Tuskegee University is a historically black college in Tuskegee, Alabama, a very small school. And what the university did is reached out to them at some conference, they met, and they decided to provide this exchange program so that the university would provide money for this, but we also wrote a grant to the National Science Foundation to give money to support this particular grant. So there would be an exchange between Michigan faculty and Tuskegee faculty. And so every year, 1963 going forward until about 1969, 4 or 5 faculty from Michigan went to Tuskegee to teach. And 4 or 5 faculty from Tuskegee came to Michigan to teach. They also came to complete their doctoral degrees. It's very important that you understand that these African-American faculty members were coming from Tuskegee Institute to the University of Michigan and were finishing their doctoral work to go back and teach at Tuskegee. We also traded graduate students and administrators. We were going to try to exchange students, but other things happened along the way. But I think it's really important to understand that this exchange, starting by President Hatcher, was the beginning of understanding how we might provide the best opportunity for underrepresented students at the University of Michigan. Because of the Michigan Tuskegee Exchange, because of that program, and I gave you a reading about that, and hopefully you'll read that completely historical account. Because of that program, the University of Michigan has trained more African-American PhDs in the sciences, social sciences, and humanities than any other school in the nation, except for Howard University. We have trained more African-American PhDs in the sciences, the social sciences, humanities, and the medical sciences than any other school in the country, except for the historical Black college, Howard University. And all that came because President Hatcher met the president of Tuskegee, and they designed this particular exchange program. It's important because after the President Hatcher got success with the Michigan Tuskegee program, he decided I should do something here in the state of Michigan. So he pulled together his administrative staff and designed what was then called the Opportunity Awards Program in 1964. The Opportunity Awards Program was scholarship money and tutorial assistance for students of color from Michigan. We established a recruiting center in Detroit, and we went specifically to the Black and brown neighborhoods of Detroit, of Flint, of Muskegon, Lansing, and Grand Rapids, and recruited students to the University of Michigan and provided opportunity, provided scholarships, and provided tutorial assistance for students of color. That Opportunity Awards program ran up until 1983. Dr. William Collins, who was the past director at the Center for Educational Outreach, is one of the first students who was admitted to the University of Michigan under the Opportunity Awards program. BAM 1 happened in 1970. 1970, a group of Black graduate students and undergraduate students shut the university down. They chained the doors to the Fleming building. They protested. They got faculty on their side because the university was not living up to its commitment to educate African-American, Latino, and students of color here at the University of Michigan. So BAM happened in 1970. If you look on some of the events pages, the Center for the Department for African-American and Afro-American and African Studies is celebrating 50 years of BAM all throughout the year of 2020, because it's been 50 years since that happened. Part of that process was something called the Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills. It was a program designed to provide instruction and tutoring for students in introductory math English, and science classes. It was a completely graduate student driven initiative. The graduate students who were here, remember I told you the Tuskegee Exchange provided opportunities for graduate students to be here. Those graduate students saw a need and wrote a proposal, and they called it the Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills, presented it to the president, and it was fully funded. So they would prepare what's known now as our intensive course sections here at CSP. They designed instruction, and so they hired and trained faculty who looked like the students in the class and began to provide opportunities for them to have action-based instruction, active instruction, using different sort of pedagogical techniques other than just standing at a board and lecturing for an hour. And so they used different sorts of instructional pedagogy. They used active learning methods in order to provide an understanding for these students in science, math, and English. One of those graduate students is J. Frank Yates, who just retired this year. He is a professor of marketing and psychology here at the University of Michigan, and wrote the final draft of the Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills process. And so it provided these course instruction for students of color so that they would find ways to increase their ability to graduate from the University of Michigan. In 1983, these two programs, the Opportunity Awards Program, scholarships, advising, and the Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills, instruction, tutoring, were merged into one program. In 1983, that's how CSP came to be. So CSP traces its history back to 1983, but we go back to 1964 from the Opportunity Awards Program. In 1983, our charter changed to serve a larger population of students. No longer was it just Black or brown student, but any student at the University of Michigan who could seek out our services would be available, would have our services available to them. They could use those services. We were then open to every undergraduate school and college, not just an LSA thing, but any undergraduate school or college in the university could have students, could receive support from CSP. And the unique thing about it is that our funding came from two sources: the Provost's office and the College of Literature, Science, and Arts, where we currently live. And so what we have now is a unique program, a combination of the Opportunity Awards Program and the Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills combined into one thing, into one program, the Comprehensive Studies, with distinct funding, noticing that funding comes from the college and from the university to make certain that the job we do is important. The job we do is supported. The job we do has budget necessary to do the work we're doing. And so we were established in 1983 in this particular form, and our charge was increased. Dr. Royster Harper, who is the Vice President Emeritus of Student Life, she just retired last year, was the first director at the Comprehensive Studies Program. So in 1983, the Comprehensive Studies Program is that premier student success program organized around the principles of diversity, access, equity, and inclusion. We promote academic excellence and champion personal growth and wellness for all students within our community and the University of Michigan at large. That is our mission statement. This Comprehensive Studies Program is at its core, a retention program. Our job is not to admit, our job is to graduate. And so CSP was designed to help students who are admitted to our program or who are affiliated with our program graduate. And again, we're organized around those principles at our core: diversity, that this is available for any student; access, that your social economic status should not prohibit your ability to study at the University of Michigan; equity, that when you are admitted, you have the best chance, the same chance as everybody else to graduate as anyone else has. And so the supports and the resources that we use provides that equity for all of our students. And inclusion. We include all people, not just Black and brown people. We include all people. And so oftentimes people are surprised when they realize that not all CSP students are Black, or not all CSP students are Hispanic. We, again, promote diversity, equity, access, and inclusion for all of our community, not just particular people. And so we are at our core a student success center. And so we have these 5 realms that we work in to provide success for our students, to support the success for our students. And so we want to make certain that you have an understanding of what those things are. The first thing we do is have academic course instruction. And so going back to the Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills, this is their model. And so we have appropriated that model and included and begin to use that model and improve it as the nature of our student population changes. And so the courses are designed for mastery of the subject matter. So if you're in a CSP section of math or biology or chemistry or English or Spanish this semester, please know that we're not just trying to get you to pass the class. We're here to teach you to master the subject so that should you take another class, you will be able to be successful there. And so we have an expectation of excellence. We believe that all of our students can succeed. We don't tell you to look to your left and look to your right. This person may not be here next year. We have the expectation that all of our students will succeed. And it's a combination of time and effort. Our faculty spend an enormous amount of time providing information for students, but also we've been required the same amount of time from students. It's an active learning environment where students get individualized attention, and there is connection and communication between the student's academic advisor, and the student's faculty member. We have a student-first instructional pedagogy, and what most people are now trying to find is an inclusive pedagogy. Our faculty have always taught in an inclusive manner because that's been the nature of our student population. All of these classes follow department syllabi with extended office hours and time and class time. And what we want to make certain is that you know that the faculty that teach you are experienced, not new graduate students. Not that there's anything wrong with new graduate students, but we want our students to have the best instruction possible. And so when you take a CSP course, that academic course instruction wants to make sure you have the best instruction possible. The second part of this Student Success Center is holistic academic advising. It's an active, holistic, and dynamic model for advising. Holistic in the fact that the academic advisors are interested not just in which classes to take to get you to a degree, but in your entire life here at the University of Michigan. How are you acclimating to the University of Michigan? What's happening in your extracurricular and your co-curriculums? What's going on at home? How is that affecting what you're doing? And so we provide a holistic view of student development. It's an active process. And so we engage with students as academic advisors. We engage with them so that it would become a give and take. And so that you would tell us what you're interested in. We would give you resources. We would share our stories with you, and you can share your stories with us. So it was a dynamic and active relationship, and it changes over time. It's dynamic. When you're a first-year student, you have these needs, but when you're a senior, you have the other needs. And so that change, our relationship with you changes over time, so that not only do you continue to persist, but you are graduated and you enter the career world as you see fit. And so again, a CSP asks for regular contact between their advisors and their students 3 to 4 times a year for first and second year students, an ongoing assessment of your skills and ability, and understanding that you have the same advisor for the entire time that you're here. One of the things that you will learn quickly at the University of Michigan is that you've got to have an advocate, and CSP provides a built-in advocate in your academic advisor. Our third prong here is tutoring and supplemental instruction. We provide tutoring for introductory math and science courses, courses in economics and statistics and languages. We do evening group tutoring. Those hours will be available, I think, next week. Also structured study groups for math and statistics. We provide that supplemental help for students, mock exams for students who are in this particular process. So if you're taking if you're taking Math 105 or 115 and you're a CSP student, you'll be getting messages from our faculty about the mock exams for those particular courses. And so we provide it. You don't have to pay for it. It's a part of our budget. So we hire and train a staff of tutors who are there to work for you and with you to help support you as you learn and grow and develop. We also have a special relationship with the Science Learning Center. So if you as a CSP student participate in one of the structured study groups at the Science Learning Center, you also get to participate in that drop-in and appointment-based tutoring. And so as the Science Learning Center provides tutoring for Biology 171, 172, Chem 130, Chem 210 and 215, and Physics 135, I think now, and some other courses. But if you are part of that structured study group, you also have access to drop-in and appointment-based tutoring, all at your disposal. All you need to do is ask. We also have our student success initiatives. We realize that success comes in many different forms and that it just won't be what happens in the classroom. And so we provide sort of first-year interest groups. And so we get together students who are interested in business or engineering or pre-health careers. We get you together so we can begin to talk to you about how to think about this in a successful fashion, how to begin working toward good success in medicine, even as a first-year student. And so we put those things together for you, and you'll be getting information and regular emails from our advisors who are overseeing those programs. We have a mentoring program where we are connecting senior students to first-year students and entering students so that you can learn the ropes. You can learn the things that everybody else already knows about Ann Arbor. Where can I go to get a haircut? Where can I go to buy the best food? Those sorts of things. So it's a mentoring program of how to know as some people call it, the invisible curriculum. How do I learn the invisible curriculum here at the University of Michigan? So our Michigan Mentorship Matters, that program is available for you. We have academic success and leadership workshops. So every month there will be a series of workshops on our website that look at not just how to get a job, but time management, how to have conversations with people, how to begin to prepare myself for success in a career, how to practice job talks, how to look at my resume, how to find extracurricular or study abroad experiences whenever those things start again. And so we provide that particular resource. Every month, there's a new series of academic success and leadership workshops. We have what we call CSP funding opportunities. And so we provided opportunities for students who were going to conferences to provide resources for them. We also have scholarships for students taking the GRE or the MCAT or the LSAT prep course. We have that particular opportunity. We have personal wellness opportunities. And so we partner with Wolverine Wellness, where some of our faculty, some of our staff members have become wellness counselors. We partner with them to provide wellness opportunities here in our office. It's going to be virtual this year, but it is sponsored through CSP. We also have financial aid advising. And so the financial aid outreach staff is a part of the CSP team. And so should you have a question about financial aid, you can reach out to them and they will respond to you quickly because they are part of the CSP team. The final thing that we offer in our Student Success Center is a Summer Bridge Scholars Program. 2020 was the 45th Summer Bridge class that we did. We did it virtually. If I can say so myself, I think we did a pretty good job. It was a lot of work, but it is probably among the best, it is the best thing that I do, of finding opportunities to prepare dedicated, highly qualified students for success at the University of Michigan is something that I value and treasure. And so it's an opportunity for about 300 to 400 students to have intensive academic preparation, highly individualized academic advising, personal attention from faculty and staff, an active, engaged learning community, and to earn credits toward your degree. And so this is the second oldest bridge program in the nation. UC Berkeley is 1 year older than we are, but we are the second oldest summer bridge scholars program in the United States. And so this was our 45th year. I'm sure we're already thinking about what happens in year 50, but it is something that we have done. And again, the Summer Bridge Scholars Program was a part of that Coalition for the Usage of Learning Skills. They recommended in 1971 that we design a bridge program. And so the graduate students who were here at that time became faculty members. And in 1975, that group of people had the inaugural Summer Bridge Scholars Program, 1975. And so the students earn 6 credits. There's a lot of co-curricular programming. It's all about building community. It's all about finding your niche here at the University of Michigan. And that's something that CSP values and something we want to try to pass on to all of our students. And so this fall, we had 741 new students who were admitted to CSP. 43% of those are fall admits. 42% of those came through the Summer Bridge Scholars Program. Please notice that the M-STEM Academy students, that's M-Engine and M-Science, those people are part of the CSP family, and all the Kessler Scholars are also a part of the CSP admit group. And so we've got a big group of students who are with us this year. Our CSP 101 classes are larger than they've ever been, and we're excited to have this opportunity for you to experience what I believe to be a remarkable university experience. Just to give you a look at our demographics, the current student population, there are about 3,127 students currently here. Again, the majority of our students are first generation. A lot of them are from lower incomes, but we are the most diverse group of students on this campus. The most diverse group of students on this campus. Never will you find anything else that is as diverse as the Comprehensive Studies program. We have 11 full-time advisors. We have 3 coordinators, 21 faculty members. We have a 4-person leadership team. We have a 4-person administrative team. We're all here for you. One of the things I think is important for you to know is that the University of Michigan has provided this Comprehensive Studies program for your success. We're here to help students be successful. Our graduation rate is 84%. Our Summer Bridge Scholars graduation rate is 81%. And last year we provided test prep for 180 students. The laptop loan program, which is now the University Laptop Program, started at CSP. It was a program that we started to provide laptops for students as they were entering the university. The University Scholarships Office now has a passport program, and that also started at CSP, where we had donor funding who wanted to break down those barriers, those walls that prevented students from studying abroad. And oftentimes that was the money to get a passport. And so now we have a university passport program. I guess it's an LSA passport program where we provide funding for students to get a passport who might not have one. I hope that you have an understanding of the special place that the University of Michigan holds in higher education in the world. We're among one of the best institutions in the world, but also the best at a lot of things. And what CSP wants to do is to provide that uncommon education for all of you, for any of you. What I want you to know is that that thing that happened in 1817, when they started a national university, when they wanted to have a universal system of knowledge and a national recruitment for not just elites, but anyone, that CSP is directly connected to that theme, to that ideal. And our goal is to help all of our students find the best educational experience possible. We're here to provide you with an uncommon education. And I hope you can see the connection from what happened at the beginning to what's happening today. I realize that there are a lot of challenges in our country, and at the university, there are a lot of challenges. We've been trying to get 10% Black enrollment for 40 years. That's not happened. We've not gotten it right. But I've always been impressed with the University of Michigan's ability to reflect on its own successes and failures and to make a new plan to be successful. If anybody can figure this out, it will be the people at the University of Michigan. And so I thank you for your time. I thank you for this opportunity. And I encourage you to make that appointment with your academic advisor to find out more about CSP, to find out more about the University of Michigan. I hope the readings that we provided you would give you more of an understanding of just how special a place this is and how much your life is going to change because you decided to come to the University of Michigan. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.